you, baby. I see you dancing across the room, and I wanna get to know you, baby. I see you dancing from across the room, and you wanna get to know me, baby.
Welcome to. I'm Jason, and this is Jake, and today we have a very, very special. Oh, my dog likes it too. We got Brian, Crown Vic from Warfather, from fucking every band that fucking matters.
From your mom's house last night.
Open it up! Headbang!
What's up, dudes?
What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
What got you into metal? Like the kind of shit you're into now? Like what got you there? To where, like, I mean, not necessarily where you're at now, but like what made you even like want to play music?
As far back as I can remember, I wanted to perform in some kind of way. When I was a little kid, I definitely didn't know if it was going to be music or what. And I don't know. I think when I was in maybe middle school, I started hanging out with my dad a little bit more, and he played bass. And the house that he lived in, there were like Derek Sigler lived, or I don't know if he lived over there, but he hung out over there with like Drew Smith and a lot of those guys, Rice and a lot of those dudes. So I was like, 12, and I thought all that was super cool. And then I don't know when it was, but I remember there was an episode. You guys remember Pete and Pete on Nickelodeon?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Okay. So you remember the episode where he's going home and he sees that band practicing, and then he like tries to find that address again, and they moved out, and like the whole episode's him just trying to find the band.
Wasn't that Anthrax? Or
No, it was actually the band that does the intro for the song Polaris.
Polaris or whatever. Hey, Sandy. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw that, when he got that guitar, and I don't know if you guys remember, but everything on that show, they had that fake brand that was like Krebstar 9000. So it was like a Fender Strat, but it was like the Krebstar 9000 Eviscerator. And that's what made me want to play like rock and roll kind of guitar and get into music. And then, my dad played bass, and there were always basses around. So I just started kind of picking them up and messing with it. And I thought I wanted to play bass because, that's like the hardest thing to find. But as soon as one of my friends got an electric guitar and I played it for the first time, I was like, fuck bass. Bass is stupid. Dread, dude. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think he had some kind of shitty Ibanez and probably a Line 6 amp, And I went to his house. Yeah, it was one of those shitty combo amps. And I was like, all right, it's going to be fun. I'm going to be the bass player. And then literally the first time I picked it up, I was like, bass sucks. Fuck off.
Dude, it does suck too. Like if you're in your room just fucking around alone, it's so fucking boring playing bass. Because I've played bass in a lot of bands, and just like practicing by myself with a bass is just so fucking bland and stupid. Unless you've got like really loud shit that pisses off your neighbors or something, like then it's kind of fun to just kind of jam out on some like doomy kind of riffs or whatever. But if you're just like practicing in your room for fun or for for your band or whatever, it's lame. It's boring as fuck.
I've been lucky enough to be Nuclear Future's been lucky enough to have two bassists that actually like truly loved and enjoyed like being good bassists, which would be Paul and Adeline, or whatever from back in the day. They just love playing bass. They love that. So that's pretty cool. Because we, like Jared, which you grew up with Jared, you guys were friends, Cosmo or whatever, Huffman.
Yeah.
He was just a guitarist that turned into our bassist. So you could tell he didn't really want to be a bassist, but like we didn't
That's
have
usually how it goes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think almost
originally wanted to
every
play
band
guitar.
I've been in, every band I've been in has been like that as well. I think maybe I've played with one or two actual bass players that's like their first instrument, but most of the time it was somebody playing out of necessity or a guitar player that had a bass. You know what I mean?
Like it kind of threw me off whenever you guys were doing the God Particle shit, and I saw Isaac with the bass. I was like, the fuck?
Yeah.
But so
weird.
you played some bass, said fuck this, started playing guitar. Like, what made you switch to drums?
That was another thing that was out of necessity when I was because I never really took drums serious. I think when I was around 12 or 13, my dad got a piece of shit drum set that was covered in duct tape and had it in a room at the house. And I would kind of mess around on it from time to time, but it was never like I want to play drums. It was just like they were there and I would kind of beat around on them or whatever.
What kid doesn't?
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's fun to just, for 30 minutes, it's like, all right. But I think I was 15 or 16 and I was jamming with I used to play guitar with this dude. His name's Chris. He was a lot older than me. And he kind of like influenced me into the more I don't want to say like music theory, but more like disciplined style of practicing and not just like fucking around and playing the same riff that you've been playing. Like he kind of like helped me step out of the box and learn to, I guess, evolve in guitar or whatever. But he started a band with some other guys in Parkersburg, and it was like weird radio rock, like stuff that I didn't like at the time and I don't like now. But it was just one of those situations. They were like, you can play drums and you have a drum set, so you're in this band now. And I did that for a little bit and I hated it. I mean, it wasn't, I think I practiced with him a couple times, like long enough to maybe do some shitty recordings. And, I was 16, so I wasn't disciplined.
Find that shit.
Oh, it's out there somewhere. Yeah. It's definitely out there. But,
you gotta find it and clip it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were all like grown men and I was like 16. So it just, I wasn't a disciplined musician. I didn't know what it took to practice. And I didn't think like, oh, I should call them. I'm in Parkersburg, like I was just a dumb kid. So I kind of got kicked out of that band. Really, they just stopped calling me and I stopped calling them for those things. So you know how that goes. And then the next band I was in, like the first band that ever played shows, I was 17. I didn't even own a drum set at the time. I think I traded it for a guitar or something stupid. And I don't even know. I think I was at a Halloween party in Point Pleasant and some guy, I can't remember. I think he like saw the shirt I was wearing. He was like, oh, you play music. I know these guys that are looking for a drummer. I think that might not even be right. Like this is so long ago, but it was something like that. And I got this person's phone number and was like, hey, I don't have a drum set, but I play drums. I don't know what you want to do with that. They had like a full setup and they were just so ecstatic to have a drummer come try out that they were like, we don't even care. Just get over here, And that band was cool. It was kind of like Black Label Society meets Pantera, which also wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. You know what I mean?
It's kind of par for the course around here around that time. Like you're probably talking 2007, 2008-ish or something like that's what everybody was playing.
I was 17 when I joined that band, so it would have been around 2007.
Yeah. Everybody that was playing music at that time were heavily inspired by that, like kind of stoner metal, groove metal type sound or whatever. Pantera, Black Label Society type shit.
I feel like that's what everybody that plays guitar, like they're like, I want to play like Zakk Wylde and just do the and then it's kind of.
That's the thing. By the time I started getting in these bands, I was already like I grew up on, like all the same shit everybody was listening to at the time, and then I think the first like heavy band that really caught my attention and was like, oh shit, this is cool, and I noticed the drums too, was probably Slayer. And so by the time I was getting into these bands, I was just kind of like, I was still young and it was like, this isn't exactly what I want to do, but it's playing music,
Yeah.
And So yes, for the longest time, I was in a lot of bands that didn't really sound like what I wanted to play. So
it's crazy because you're like eclectically, like very musically talented, like all around the board. Like you could probably just make the shit you want and be like, hey, play this or whatever. But like,
yeah, for sure. I write music like that sometimes. I used to do that a lot more when I was younger, but I don't know. It's after doing it so long, it's kind of hard to get motivated to do that consistently.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into more bands, so I kind of, just focused on learning those songs rather than trying to write shit on my own, I guess.
Now, did you get, like, when you got into playing drums and shit, were you just like, all right, man, this is my thing now? Like, were you just kind of, or was it more like?
It took me about 3 bands to be like, okay, I guess I'm a drummer now.
Yeah. Dude, that's Austin's story too. Like our drummer he was a guitarist and shit first, and then like no one else played drums, and he like could a little, so he just fucking was everybody's drummer for a while, and then we started Nuclear Future.
That's exactly
that's how it was for me with fucking bass, man. It sucks. It'd be way cooler if it was like that with drums, but like the first band I was ever in, I wanted to play guitar, and we couldn't find a bass player like for the longest fucking time. So I just bought bass gear, and then like every band after that, besides like this shit, I just ended up playing bass in because I had. Yeah, that's exactly what it was, man. It was like I just had the shit.
You have this. Like, you're obviously the bass player.
Yeah. I thought that's all you did for the longest time. I was like, Jason Boyle, that bass player guy, he doesn't do anything else but play bass in his whole life.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was for me too. I played in a bunch of bands I didn't really like, and then eventually I started playing in heavier stuff, and I was like, okay, I like drums a little bit. And even like the first couple bands I played in, I didn't care about being a great drummer. I mean, I cared enough to play to like get by, but I think there was one show in particular where I saw this drummer that blew me away, and I was like, oh shit. You always listen to music, but seeing it in person, seeing somebody actually like shred for the first time is like, oh, this is real. There's really people out here doing this. So I was probably like 17, 18. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm just going to listen to nothing but Slayer and try to play drums like that,
Well, it is too. Like drummers kind of have their own little community. You know what I mean? Like drummers are like boys that kind of just like
it's a love-hate thing. They love each other or hate each other. It's weird too. Like it's a weird competitive thing with drummers. I've come to find, but they're either.
I've noticed that, man. Like
we were talking about that.
Like there's the rest of the band, and then there's like the drummers that kind of like talk about gear and shit. Because I see it all the time, like on like your Facebook and shit. Like you'll put something about like drums, and then like. I don't understand fucking any of it, but you got like 30 people replying like this.
Neither do any of those people. So nobody that's commenting understands it either, so it's fine.
Yeah, drummers are like their own special breed because like I feel like if you have a little bit of a knack for it, like you're pretty much forced into it, especially around here, like we were saying with the necessity to do it. Like if you can do it for a whole song, like 2 minutes, then you're going to be a fucking drummer at some point. So you probably should learn how to be a good drummer.
Right.
Dude, it's like around here, it's just like hard to find. It's hard to find a drummer that's not already in like 8 fucking bands and has time to do anything, man. So like when you find one, like I got lucky with Chad, but if you find one that's actually good, that isn't in 10 bands, you gotta fucking hold on to them, man, because it's rare. It's
we're always getting pulled at from all angles. I feel like got like half of my body tied to a truck and the other half tied to a bunch of horses wanting me to be in all these shows.
What do you think the first band you played in that you're like, all right, this, like you were saying you were in a bunch that you're like, I'm playing music, this is what I want to do, but the first one that you're like, all right, I fucking like what I'm doing now, like I believe in this. I
mean, there were some that I liked. It got better and better as I went along, but really only up until like the last maybe 6 years to the last decade have I been playing, like, because I've always been big into like thrash and death metal, and every band I've been in has been like closer to that, but not quite. So Crown Vic has been a great outlet for that, because it's kind of like everything I want to do. Yeah. It's like everything I want to do that I can't really do in a lot of the other bands I've played in, and some of the bands that I play in now. And it's, I don't know, like when I started playing with them, I was just filling in, and I almost stopped for a while because I just had so much going on. But there was just something, it was like an ego thing almost. I was like, I'm not going to let like the one West Virginia death metal band not have my drums on it. And that was kind of what.
Fuck yeah.
I was like, fuck that. I'm not
playing 2,000 bands at the same time. You better be in one of the best ones coming out.
I'm not going to let one of the heavier bands in my area just go on and not have me in it after that. Like that's kind of what it was, honestly. And
that makes no sense in the world, bro.
Yeah, and I like the music, but like for the first year and a half that I was in that band, I just kind of, I put forth like all of my effort, but I wasn't trying to like take any creative control. I wasn't super worried about how the songs were going to turn out or how the riffs were going to go or what the lyrics were going to be. I was just like, all right, well, this is your guys' band. I'm going to put the drums to it. And I even I was like, do you guys want me to dial it back? Because I know a lot of your older stuff is like more simple, more kind of knuckle draggy caveman style. And
I think that's just because Lane was trying to do vocals and play drums back then.
Yeah, and they've had a couple different guitar players, which obviously that influences the sound a lot, Yeah, especially if you only have one guitar player, that's going to be like the main writer. But so for the first almost 2 years, I was just kind of filling the spot, and then it got to a point where it was like, okay, Lane is, he respects and trusts my creativity and my input and my experience with other shit. So he kind of, I don't want to say that he like let me, have the reins or whatever, but not like since like, I don't know, maybe the last year or so.
You're not worried about putting your input in and shit?
No, like it's been like a collective, and I've had a lot of say in the direction, and like we butt heads a lot now because we're both like, when you have material that you care about, like you're going to argue over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's honestly nice to have something that you care enough to get pissed off at each other over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then when you calm down, it's like, well, we're both right and we're both wrong, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, because it's easy to get like that too. Like little arguments and disagreements are going to happen when you all care.
Yeah. It's easy to fix, especially just like on yourself. It's like I've gotten to the point now where if there's a drum part that I recorded that bothers me, but if everybody else says it's fine, I'm just like, all right, fuck it. I gotta let it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you guys write, how's that whole thing usually go? Or do you guys do it different every time, or is there usually like one guy that's like, here's an idea, and then you guys all kind of riff off that? Or
yeah, so with Crown Vic, before when we had Jordan playing guitar, we would just meet up and just jam, like freestyle and write in the room, and then kind of take ideas back and piece it together like that, which is honestly not super effective because it can really take a long time to get a song written, because you're constantly questioning yourself, and you get more indecisive when you're sitting there beating your brains in, playing the same parts over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But since we got the new guys, the new guitar players, we wrote everything remotely, and first of all, it helps when everybody's team iPhone. That's the AirDrop. But yeah, like all these new songs we wrote before we even really all got together in a room. And like now that I'm set up to record at home, I'll plug in, and sometimes I'll just throw the click on to like a random beat from like 180 or whatever, and I'll just kind of freestyle some beats. And I'll even go in and like cut stuff and copy and paste and kind of make like a skeleton of a song and then send it out, and then they'll send riffs and back and forth, yada yada, until we have a song that we all kind of hate enough to argue about.
Hell yeah.
You've been recording like other bands too, like not even bands you're in and stuff, right? Over the past couple years.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get more into session work, and it started out nice, but then I've had like several people that like I've got started on projects, and then they're like, "Well, I can't afford this." It's like, okay. And, yeah, I've been trying to get more into that, but no, I've done so far out of my garage. The first thing I recorded was that the grindcore project is called Fucked with 2 Ks. That was the first actual recording that, with live drums that came out of my garage. And then what else have I done? I did the Crown Vic, like the last 3 demos we did.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Like, if you record like
we did
yourselves.
everything. The demos we recorded 100% of that here, guitars, vocals, everything. But most of the other shit I've done, I've just done drums here. Like I'll have people send me, the stems, and I'll just knock it out by myself.
Okay, oh yeah. So I was gonna ask you too about how you got hooked up with like the Stress Fracture dudes, man, and like started playing with them, because I remember I played a show back in like 2 summers ago or some shit. Maybe it was this past summer, and it was at my dude's house. Abe that plays in Crown Vic and Fever War. Well, he was in Fever War or whatever. And he had like a show at his house, and like he's been out of the game for a while, So he was asking, he was like, "So what bands are still like around here?" And I was like, naming off, and I named you guys, and somebody was there and was like, "No, Crown broke up, Jordan quit," and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that's people have said that, and I don't understand why. Like we never. Jordan did quit, but we never stopped. Like even
never
after
RIP on MySpace or anything. So.
RIP.
Yeah, but no, there were multiple people that were like, "Man, that's a bummer that Crown Vic broke up." I'm just like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I think I asked you too, because I was like, "Did they?" Somebody said that to me. I was like, "I'll just go to the source here."
Austin came to the bar one day and asked me about it, and I was like, "No, dude, we're still." Like, I'm just writing guitar right now until we find guitar players, which I was. I wrote a song.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it didn't take us too long. I wrote like 1 full song, and they haven't learned it yet, but they're gonna, or how that goes. They say they're gonna.
They better.
But no, I mean, as far as those guys, I met the vocalist Scotty because he just started coming to local shows, and I just kind of met him like that. He was always super enthusiastic, seemed super stoked about local music and heavy bands in the area. So I just kind of started following him, through that. And then he started the band, and, I just wanted to support the homies. So I always shared their stuff. And then,
so I stole his guitar players and
no,
fuck your band, fuck your life.
No, I don't even know how I started talking to Nick initially. I think it might have just been like, like the usual sending memes and stuff. And I don't know. We talked about jamming, and we started writing a song just like to mess around. He had said something about he'd always liked bands like Morbid Angel and old school death metal stuff, like everything that I liked. So we just started making, like, I sent him some drums, just some empty drums, and he started riffing over it. And I was like, "Dude, I know you're in a band, but we are looking for a guitar player, so just putting that out there." And initially he was like, "No, man, I'm too busy." And I was, fine with that. And I didn't push it at all. I kind of gave up on it. And
he begged. Brian begged him.
Yeah. Yeah, I sent him some suggestive photos and was like, "Please, if you don't join my band, I'm gonna autoerotic asphyxiate myself. But no, I just we jammed around on that song for a little bit, and it was just going to be for fun, And I sent it to Lane, and initially he was like, I don't know, this might be a little too technical for what we're going for, which it kind of was initially. But yeah, then I don't know, I didn't talk to him for a couple months, and then he hit me up again, and he was like, hey, you still looking for a guitar player? Because I want to play some heavier shit, and I know another guy, which is Alex, of course. And we made it very clear, like, hey, we know you guys are in another band, we're not trying to be sneaky or anything, so definitely talk to your homies about it. And if you guys think it's feasible, if you got the time, we'd love to have you. And
almost like an open relationship or something.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you tell me about it.
It's like brother husbands or sister wives or whatever.
Yeah.
For my brother husbands. Yeah. But now and it's been easy because, like I said, we wrote a lot of the shit remotely. So for the first few months, we weren't really getting in a room together. We were just sending ideas. And then when we had something that we kind of thought was sort of a song, we got together, and honestly, it was that thing that me and Nick started working on. And eventually it got to a point where it was almost finished, but we kind of we put it on the shelf because we were back and forth, like, do we even like this? And then one day at practice, we were jamming it over and over again, hating it more and more. And I just went into this random, slow, sludgy, stupid, brainless thing at the end of the song, and somehow it just ended up working. And we finished it that day, and it was like, all right, well, that's done. And then we moved on from there. And we haven't got together in a room that often. Like, maybe since they've been in the band, maybe less than 10 times.
And one of them was Agrofest.
Yeah, one of them was.
You guys ripped that night, though.
Yeah, that was a long day, and my back was so fucked. My back was so
Well, it's pretty
fucked.
cool though, because when we talked to Scotty, he was kind of telling us those guys were more into death metal and shit or whatever, and he was showing them hardcore bands, shit like that. So it's kind of cool that they got that outlet now to the kind of shit that my dogs are fighting. Sorry.
I think Crown and Stress Fracture are both really cool bands, but they're very different,
Yeah.
Day and night, in that realm.
Yeah. But yeah, so we stole them, and I'm gonna join. I'm actually gonna quit Crown Vic and join Stress Fracture. Get everyone out.
Oh, yeah. Play everything.
Yeah, I'm speaking on that. If you weren't playing metal and harder death metal, all the variants of metal you've been playing, is there another style of music fucking reggae or anything you'd like to fucking try your hand at? I feel like you have dabbled in just about everything. So
I mean, we've heard his solo shit. I'm waiting for the album.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll clip a little bit of that in here too.
Yeah, so honestly, when I'm just chilling and listening to music, I don't listen to a whole lot of metal. I mean, I definitely do, but when I'm writing,
I don't listen to hardcore all the time, or anything like that. It's pretty all over the place.
But I definitely listen to way less heavy shit when I'm writing heavy shit, because it's just too much. You know what I mean? So when I'm in the writing phase, I'm listening to nothing that's heavy at all. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I listen to a lot of weird stuff, a lot of weird techno, electro, just the opposite of anything heavy. The goofier and the more homoerotic it is, the more I seem to enjoy it.
I actually said this in the agency episode, but I clipped it out. I get inspired way more from singer-songwriter, soft ash sound and shit, with, I don't know, lyrics and stuff like that I think are real deep and resonant than I do with listening to hard stuff or in your face stuff. But that's just me.
That's not brutal. But no, I mean, I listen to a lot of death metal stuff, but it just depends. Like if I'm working on stuff, I don't like to listen to a lot of it, which is weird. You'd think that you'd want to listen to that to get more of that influence, I guess. But
it kind of infiltrates it, though.
It does, yeah. It crowds my brain a little bit, and it's like I'm not the guy that listens to metal on the way to go to a metal show like that. I hate that. and listens to metal on the way home too. It's like, dude, give me a fucking break, please.
Dude, they're like on our way back from the. We played. I think it was a show we played up in Parkersburg, dude. We were coming back, and my girlfriend, she's like, "Do you want are you gonna turn on music or something?" I was like, "I'd rather not. I'd rather just like not listen to anything." Yeah,
dude, I'm the same. Like if I play a show, I drive home in complete silence.
I do too. Yep.
Yeah, complete silence band as well. It's either silent or like so low you can't hear it. Like, and then we just kind of talk amongst each other. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do if we're like all riding up in the van, or if we're all together. Hell, fucking only 2 speakers in our van work anyway.
Right.
But
it's usually shit that happened at the show,
like a little bit of
or whatever, like
a little background noise or whatever. But other than that,
yeah, like an 8-hour fucking rain video on a tin roof or something. It's either that or silence, or maybe like some Enya or something. But I'm not trying to listen to some heavy shit after I've just had an ear beating for like 2 hours. So
that's another thing too. If you're a young person watching this, which I think it's only our friends watching this, wear earplugs, dude. Like I didn't wear earplugs for years and years and years. My shit's fucked up. I gotta wear earplugs almost all the time now.
I bought a pair of those like $40 ones that they only cut down like a certain amount of decibels, and they're pretty sick.
That's what I used to.
That's what I use it when the boys are practicing or whatever.
Yeah, you can still
sometimes
hear all
during practice I don't even do vocals, but I got Billy actually got them for me, like the $30 like eargasms or whatever. You put them in, you can still hear what they're doing, but it's not fucking making your teeth vibrate.
Even when you're singing with them, and like sometimes when you have like the full ones and you can't, like it fucks up like how you hear. With those, I can still like project just fine. So yeah,
that's even with my in-ear monitors that I use live. They come with different tips with like different density, and I noticed that different tips for rib for her pleasure. Yeah. But if I use the high density ones, it seems like I was overcompensating by trying to hit harder because I thought I wasn't playing as loud. But it's like, no, dude, you're beating the fuck out of your snare drum. It just doesn't hear it, even though it's right in front of you. So
I would blow my shit out real easy wearing the like full on, I guess, earplugs. Oh, yeah. So once I got those, I was like, hell yeah, dude, I can actually like hear myself now.
Yeah, I'd be wearing my wrists out, and it's like, why? Because I'm just trying to like play so loud, but it's already plenty loud enough.
Right.
Dude, I don't know where they're at, but I have these like hilarious they're like the earmuffs you get for like shooting guns and shit. I won them at work in like a contest or something. It was like
those
a drawing.
Yeah.
And I'd just sit here and like they'd be practicing and shit, and like all like it was the time where everybody was like joining the band, so I already like had showed them the riffs and shit. And I don't, like I said earlier, I don't practice the whole time because it's just fucking annoying to just sing the same songs over and over. So just sitting here eating pizza with this big ass fucking like the big shit on that I can't hear anything in, just enjoying myself. It sounds good. Keep it up.
You prep in any way, like mentally or physically, before you play, or you just fucking go out and get it done?
It just depends on the day. If I'm playing a lot of shows in a row, I don't practice as much. But if it's like one-off shows, I'll usually sneak off to the back, like maybe while the band before us is playing, and then I'll like do a little something, get my feet warmed up. I didn't do that really at all for that the Holler General show just because my back was so fucked. I just
you're pretty grandpa'd out that whole time. Like, my back.
Yeah, big time. T-Ray told me that someone said I look like the saddest drummer alive or something. It's like, damn,
sad Keanu meme or whatever, but it's you.
Yeah, they're like, damn, dude, he's so sad. Which I mean, I understand if that was the only time you've ever seen me. It was like so much nerve pain that I was starting to just become euphoric and like it just, I don't know, I was barely even there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
those are goth vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm one with my pain.
I'm one with the nerves.
Dark Bryan's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you can call me whatever you want, but my close friends, they call me Dark Bryan. So,
that's not real. That's not a real thing.
You better not cut that out.
We'll keep that.
I like it. I'll start calling you that.
Just go from out.
Yeah. Please don't call me that.
Old DB. Dark Bryan.
You got any
favorite band to like play with, like not in, but like with, like when you play shows with them, or you play with them?
Like locally or just in general?
In general.
I mean, as far as Crown Vic goes, the funnest and best shows we played we did like 3 days with the Last 10 Seconds of Life. And those guys I've always liked that band, and those guys were super cool and fun.
Where are they from?
I don't know where they're based out of. Their current members are kind of spread out, but I don't know. They've been around for a while, and I think the only OG member is the guitar player, maybe. But you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But those were fun. I know they were just on your guys' podcast, but I really, as far as local bands go, Agency is definitely one of the top.
Yeah.
I think it's just because they, like, when they enter a room, they're so tall that you're like, well, this has to be my band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're like everybody's favorite. So usually when we ask that question, we're like, you're not allowed to say Agency or Drag.
I figured it's kind of hard though, because I think just the Beckley scene in general is a hidden West Virginia gem for sure. There's a lot of cool bands out of there. And you wouldn't think, I mean, I'm sure you guys have all been to Beckley. You wouldn't think that there would be any kind of scene there, but that was actually the first show that I played with Crown Vic was in the Zach's basement, and it was just like a little house show, and it was awesome. That was one of the funnest shows we've played in this band, honestly.
Really? That's badass.
I love house shows, man. They're always fun, but I mean, like,
it was great.
because like we've actually, like, it's really weird because we played everywhere, like, you know, whatever, but like we've never played. We both times we were supposed to play in Beckley. Some stupid shit happened and we couldn't go. But I've seen videos and stuff, and they're always packed, dude. There's always it's happening in Beckley, man. It's cool.
Yeah, I totally.
We haven't played a house show since we reformed, which is kind of weird because I always loved playing house shows too. But I think that the Huntington House, we tried to set something up there, but it fell through or something.
We played there. It's pretty cool, man. It's like this dude's living room. But
I've seen videos and stuff of it. It looks
cool because like people, like, it's so small. People have no choice to be like right the fuck up on you when you're playing. So it's like I like that kind of energy. You know, it's like everybody's standing right up there. Nobody's standing way in the back. Like, you know, it's
I prefer.
Look at me, look away. That's my vibe, dude.
I definitely prefer the intimacy of a small room over like a stadium type setting, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I do like small rooms a lot better, but especially like small.
I've never played in a stadium, so.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, even as a consumer, I like the intimacy of like the Smiling Skull or something versus like some, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I like
It's always wild because the most random people just walk in and start getting down, like hippie type people and fucking old bikers, and there's like,
that's what I was saying. Like, somebody told me, because we were supposed to play there a while back, and then they were like, "Oh no, man, it's shut down. They got like shut down because the alcohol bullshit or something."
I think that's
like a month or something.
Everyone was like, well, that's like a fucking biker bar anyway or something. I was like, I don't know, man. A few of my buds have played up there quite a few times, so I've never been there, but
I've never played there. I've been to like maybe 3 shows there, and it was a great time every time.
We played about 3 shows there. Every time was a great time. Always fun. Like rambunctious crowd. Yeah, it is what it is with that. Like I said, it's just random ass motherfuckers just coming in and be like, yeah, all right, yeah, or whatever.
Athens though is another place like Beckley. It's like a smaller like college town, and like people go off, dude. Like people that Beckley show we played that you came to or not Beckley, Athens show. Dude, like it was surprisingly like fucking packed out in there, man. They got some shit going on up there.
Stress Fracture and
Union was dragged. It was us dragged and
dragged. That's right.
Stress Fracture and Salt. Yeah.
Those guys are fucking sweet, by the way. Dragged. Those guys are. I know there's another one that's been. I'm just naming off bands that have been on here, but that was the first time.
I'm looking at the fucking playlist of this show. Like, Stress Fracture, Dragged, Agency. They're all cool bands.
I love Agency and Drogged. They're great. No, that was my first time seeing them, and that vocalist, man, he's got some crazy energy. He's a front man. He's known for that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're tight as fuck too, man. I love that band. They're good.
The Union hits though up there in Athens. Like, if you get a good show going there, it's pretty packed.
Yeah, that was my first time going there, but it was crazy packed. The drinks were super cheap too.
Yeah. Oh, and they had NA beers. Not that either of you care, but it was like usually, man, like non-alcoholic beers, like they got the Heinekens, man. They're good for anyone on here that gives a fuck.
We're cutting that out, right?
It's funny. Oh, dude.
Yeah, I'm cutting all that shit out, dude. Talking about non-alcoholic beers on here, dude. They got the Heineken non-alcoholic.
Dude, it's good shit, man. It's good.
I want to pay.
I was surprised though. I asked them if they had any, and she's like, "Yeah, actually we do." I was like, "Fuck yeah," because I wasn't expecting them to have any. It was just kind of a chance because we got those like drink tickets or whatever. What the fuck am I going to use this for? So is there any song that you heard like that made you like any? That could be fucking anything, man. Like, but anything that you like heard, like a riff or a full song that you're like, man, fuck, I wish I would have wrote that. I know that's completely off topic, but
a Robin.
Yeah, that's a tough one. There's a lot of those. But I don't know. I kind of say like I used to worry about trying to come up with original riffs and like having that one riff that like everybody knows. But then I just realized that we're all just kind of imitating shit that we like and doing it our own way. And I stopped worrying about that. And my songwriting has gotten a lot better and smoother because I don't feel like I'm fully answering your question. I'm kind of trailing off, but
me and Jake actually had this exact. What?
As like an artist or whatever, that's great advice because I think everybody starts off being like, I have to write this thing that only comes out of me, and like it's impossible because you're a culmination of everything, so you have to allow that.
Me and Jake were talking about earlier having like you gotta have the right combination of like influences and your own shit. You can't just completely fucking rip somebody off unless it's fucking better, which usually it's not. And then, if you just try to write something out of fucking thin air with, it usually sucks. So you gotta have like the mixture, of the two.
But that's great advice for anybody that wants to write music or anything. Is like allow the things that influence you to influence you. Don't straight up steal them, but like allow them to be part of it.
Yeah. It's okay to write a song and be like, I want this to sound like whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're stealing, and another thing I've realized is you might write a part for a song that in your head you're like, okay, I want this to sound like Bruce Springsteen or something, but then you show it to your buddy and they're like, no, dude, this sounds like fucking Run DMC. You know what I mean? And it's
all the time too.
the way your intention with whatever art you're making is never going to be perceived the same by the consumer. Not to sound like a fortune, but yeah.
A lot of times, if you allow everybody to like kind of have their say with stuff, it'll come out better because, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like, it's best for the song if you stay just truly like it has to be this or nothing else or whatever. Like, it's probably gonna be shit. But if everybody has their own like takes and whatever to add to it, it makes it a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah, all the best songs that I've ever been a part of have been like a collective effort, not just one person's song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So speaking of influences, what are your top 5? You think top 5 for you? Like not necessarily for Crown Vic or whatever, just for you.
Just
like your
my top 5. Yeah,
like
I got you. So, definitely Slayer was the first band that I noticed. I really started paying attention to riffs and drums and was like, oh shit, this is pretty insane. You know, they're doing some noodly weird stuff and it's still evil. You know, it's not like classical music, but it's got that intensity and darkness, you know? And so definitely Slayer is probably always going to be in my top 5 just because I don't listen to them that much anymore. And I haven't been crazy about their last few albums, but they're like, you know, grandpas now. So whatever, they earn the right to suck a little bit.
Every once in a while, I want to dance with the dead in my dreams when I'm riding down the road. Like, you know, I'm fucking.
Oh yeah, dude. Every once in a while, we gotta listen to some mandatory suicide, or we gotta rain and or something. You know what I mean? But
wow.
Yeah, so they're probably at the top and the bottom of my list at the same time, if that makes sense. The first band, like heavy death metal band that I ever really paid attention to vocals was the Black Dahlia Murder. And that's because at that point I'd been listening to shit like Cannibal Corpse and other death metal, which was all just like guttural, like one kind of tone.
Monotone.
So when I heard Trevor for the first time, I didn't believe that it was one guy because he was going from like the low lows to the super shrill highs. And in my head, I was like, you can't do that. Like, you can only do one or the other, you know? Because I was like, I was a child, you know, but or a teenager. But yeah, so and they were another band that they were heavy, but they had the crazy riffs and solos and shit that I feel like some of the other straight up death metal bands didn't have. So they were a little more accessible to people that weren't into, you know, people that don't want to listen to Cannibal Corpse or something.
Right.
So they're always going to be, especially like in metal, they're definitely one of my top. Another band that's kind of weird that I really like, and they've always been in my top 5, is Mastodon. Just because they're so weird.
Mastodon.
They're probably in my top 3, to be honest. I love the drummer. I love that they kind of used to be like a sludgy band, and now they're kind of almost like a butt rock band, but it's still awesome. I love that band. I love every album. I love I know a lot of people hate on them.
They've been putting out shit for so long and so much like shit, dude. It's wild. I don't know. Yeah.
So was that 4 or was that 5? Slayer.
I think that was 3.
Slayer, Black Dahlia Murder, Mastodon. Damn, I have 2 more. Do I even like music?
That's on the nuclear future.
I'm just gonna say Cannibal Corpse because they were like my first like brutal death metal band that was talking about like killing your wife and cutting off heads and stuff that really like at that point I've been listening. Exactly, yeah. I've been listening to heavy stuff, but that was kind of like over the rails, you know. Even people that liked other heavy bands that I was like hanging out with hated stuff like that because they'd be listening to Slayer, but then they'd put on Cannibal Corpse and be like, oh, you can't understand this. like anybody fucking cares, you know. But yeah, so Cannibal Corpse is definitely in there because they were my first death metal, like death metal band, and that's kind of what my core is, like all around as far as drumming goes. Like I try to emulate that style the most in any band that I'm in, really, just because that's what I like to do. I like to go fast like a dumb idiot all the time. Endless blast beats, no groove, you know. All right, so how many bands do I have left?
One.
Oh, yeah,
One.
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Hell yeah.
All I'm going to say.
Fuck yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah. Say no more.
So, like, speaking of the death metal side, how did you end up playing drums on that fucking Warfather album? Like, how dude from West Virginia just like was on that? You know?
Same way he got those stress fracture boys in his band and fucking some fucking news and say he's gonna kill himself.
I'm just out here honey dicking anybody with a guitar, you know what I mean? No, so that was weird. And it's cool, but it's not as like epic of a journey as it might seem. So the current vocalist for Morbid Angel lives in, which is also the vocalist for Warfather. He lives in Parkersburg, which is weird. And it was hard for me to wrap my head around that. Yeah, it's still even hard to believe now. Why is that dude just living in Parkersburg? And he's actually, I don't know if they're married, but he's with a lady that is related to like people that live, like I can see their house from my back porch. It's so weird. Yeah, but he goes to CA House, which is like the only music store that is around for guys like us, and he got my number from a friend of mine that works there, the luthier, the guy that builds guitars and shit there. And he messaged me and he was like, "Hey, Steve wanted your number." And I was like, "Why? Like, does he want me to like help him find a drummer or like what? Why?" I really didn't. I was like, "Why does he want to? What does he need? You know? Does he want me to help him find some drugs or something?" Like,
that's what I would thought. He probably wants you to help him find drugs or something.
That's what I was like. What is he? Does it look like a hookup or something? But no. So I messaged him and or maybe he messaged me first. I don't know. But he was on his way to try out a different guy in Parkersburg as he was messaging me like, "Hey, do you want to try out?" And I guess that dude didn't get the part, which, I mean, it's Parkersburg. Like, I don't even know any drummers in Parkersburg. Well, yeah, there's Jeff. There's Jeff from Final Seconds of Suffering. He's like brother, but he wasn't living around there back then. So, or maybe he wasn't. I just didn't know him yet. But it wasn't like some crazy contest.
You took Jeff's spot in that band.
Maybe I did. But no, it wasn't really like a crazy contest or tryout or anything. I was one of two people in the area that had a drum set, and I just happened to be the one that actually played death metal. And I don't know, he just came down, and I was nervous as hell, and probably fumbling my words and acting like an idiot, and probably seemed like a scared child in his presence, because he's a dude that I grew up listening to his albums in like high school, and it's just like, what are you doing in my garage, man? Get out of my garage. But yeah, we jammed, and he was like, "Yeah, cool, man," and that was really it.
Fuck yeah!
You guys spend any like bonding time together?
We hung out
some activities or anything like.
I mean, we hung out a lot during the time where I was learning all the songs. He was here like 3 or 4 days a week, every day after work, every 7-8 hours on weekends, because when I met him, he had the studio already booked, and it was like, all right, well, you got a month or something. It was something crazy short, like very short amount. Yeah. So from the day that I met him to the day we were in the studio, it was very short. Like, I want to say at like a month and a half at the most. So every day,
no pressure.
Yeah, but we hammered it out for like I said, it was like 3 or 4 days a week. As soon as I would get off work, we would play for hours, and then on the weekends, it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like just 7-8 hours nonstop. And it was a lot. It was a lot in a short time. But and then it sucks because that's another thing I learned about the studio. A lot of the songs we were playing, like when we would play them in the room, we were playing them super fast. And oh no, what happened? Did I lose you guys?
No,
oh, shit, my screen went weird. Okay, but no,
it's just my face, dude.
no, my screen went blank for a second. I was like, oh shit, something died, but no, I'm plugged in. But when I got to the studio, they did guitars first, and they did it like riff by riff and built the metronome to what they thought the tempo was. And when I got in there to play, all of the songs were like so much slower than we've been practicing. So I had to change some shit on the fly because it just wasn't working at those tempos.
That'd be so fucking weird.
Yeah, dude. It was the studio we went to was like a studio that's recorded all my favorite bands. Like Eric Rattan's recorded,
your boy's getting wild back there.
I know. I'm trying to calm him down a little bit.
He hates metal.
Yeah.
Oh, he's humping.
I felt about
the studio you're talking about. Yeah.
I felt about this big in that studio already. So that when I started recording and realized that like, oh shit, the stuff I've been playing for weeks is not going to work on all these parts. It was very defeating, and it was tough. Like I had some rough mental days in there because it was just like, fuck, this is a big deal. Like I can't.
That's a lot of shit, man.
Fucking project.
Yeah, and having like something where you're playing like a certain beat at a certain tempo, and then like trying to play it like 20 beats per minute slower, it's like it changes the feel so much, and it just some shit just doesn't work. You know what I mean? So it was like, well, I got to figure this out like on the fly, basically, and it was stressful for a little bit, but it was it was an awesome experience, and we somehow got through it, but I definitely had a couple days where I was like, oh shit, I bit off more than I could chew.
Yeah.
But I'm in Florida, so
I remember when it came out, listening to it, and I was like, I don't know, because at that point, like me and you didn't really know each other very well. Like we were like Facebook friends or whatever, and I was just like, damn, this is a fucking guy. Because like I don't think any of the bands that you were in like had anything out or whatever. I didn't even know you were whatever. But like I listened to it, like this is a fucking dude from West Virginia. That's pretty fucking solid. That rules, man. But it ended up sounding good.
Yeah, there's like still songs on that I can't stand to listen to because I just hate the way I played them. But overall, like it was an awesome experience. Like I don't want to take away from that, but there was a lot of stress involved too. It was.
I'm sure if you would have had more time, you probably would have been a lot more happy with it. But dude,
for sure,
it turned out sick, and it's awesome that you got to experience that, man. Because like, who else can fucking say that,
If you had full band practices and actually like learn the riffage and shit like that, and how it was gonna go, would have been a lot more pleasant experience than having to walk in and be like, oh shit, this is slower than what I thought it was going to be, so I already got it figured out and mapped out for this. That's wild. Maybe he did that to you on purpose to see if you could handle it.
It's your final test.
I think that's just a thing that happens when you're in the moment playing. Your nerves and your anxieties and your adrenaline's going, so you're playing a lot faster. And
the feel
when you get it like, under the microscope and there's an actual metronome, it's like, wow, I have to like fight this metronome because it's so much slower than I feel like it needs to be.
Yeah.
So that just makes you feel like an idiot when you're just, you can't stand the clip.
Fighting time. What was the worst show you've ever played in your entire life?
Oh man, there have been some doozies. Nothing like.
It could be like the show, or it could be your performance. Either one. Either way, your choice. Dealer choice.
So the first one that comes to mind, it's because of some things that happened with the sound guy, and then some things that happened after the show that make me never want to go back to this city again. But we played. It was with couple years ago with the Breathing Process, we played in Toledo, Ohio it was like Toledo Death Fest or something like that. It was some kind of big festival. And we've played it 1 year before, and it's always been cool. Like the shows have always been all right, but we got there super early, and we're sitting at the bar, and the sound guy's getting the first band set up, and my guitar player is I wasn't looking at the stage. I was like staring at the bar, not worrying about it. My guitar player's like, I'm starting to lose faith in this sound guy. And I was like, wow, he seems like he knows what he's doing. And he says, because he's duct taping a microphone to a cardboard box right now. And I look on the stage, and this dude is duct taping a microphone to a cardboard box, and he stuffed it like inside of somebody's bass drum. And we're just like,
fuck?
so this is how this one's going to go, which like, I know sometimes you sacrifice sound in certain venues, or, all that, is a factor. But this was a big festival with a lot of signed bands that were getting paid a lot to be there. So I feel like at the very least you could have paid a sound guy that wasn't going to take microphones and boxes.
Yeah.
So we get on stage, and we get like 5 minutes to set up and do a sound check. And I tried to tell him that my kick drum was triggered, which all that means is, you need a cable instead of a microphone. Like it's way easier actually.
Yeah.
And he gives me the cable, and I plug it in. That's ready to go. And then he goes back to the booth, and he's like, all right, you guys ready for your sound check? And my guitar player is like, hey, you didn't mic the drums. And he's like, what do you mean? You said you were all electric. He said that to me. He's like, the drummer, he said he was all electric. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Not what I said.
We have the little pads out there.
Yeah, I was like, the words all electric never came out of my mouth. I never said that. It's not real. So he was like pissy about that. And it just sounded horrible. Like it was just, and it wasn't just us. Like a lot of the bands didn't get the sound they deserved. And he disappeared. He, like, after we started playing, he disappeared, and then he came back and was like, all right, how'd that go? And my singer was like, oh, very good, man. But that was not the worst, but it was like, annoying sound guys are annoying. But what happened after the show is the reason I never want to fucking go back to Toledo ever again. So I think this was like a run of shows for us, and this was like maybe the third or fourth or whatever on like a week run we were doing. And we pull into this shady motel in Toledo. And immediately, as soon as we open the van door, there's like a very violent domestic dispute going on the second floor of the motel. This dude is like manhandling his wife, like grabbing her, like it's bad, So naturally, like a couple of us are just like, hey, dude, stop, And so that guy wanted to kill us because it's Toledo. And we go inside, we tell the lady, like, hey, there's a guy literally beating his wife into their room upstairs. And she goes, oh, yeah, they fight all the time. They'll be fine tomorrow. And I was like, no, like he was like grabbing her by the throat and throwing her into this room. Like, it's bad. You should call someone. She's like, well, you guys can call the cops if you want. We're not going to. They do this all the time. They'll be like they'll make up and be all fine tomorrow or whatever. And then she said something about they had 3 kids in the room, which like most of the, at least me and a couple of the members had kids. So we're just like, okay, this is not cool. So we go outside, we called the cops. They were supposedly on their way. And as we're walking back to the van, this car comes out of nowhere, like drifting around the parking lot and almost hits my singer like inches away. And it's that dude. He gets out and he doesn't pull a gun, but he has a gun in his pants. Like he puts his arms behind his back and is like, hey, fucking fight me. And we can see that he has it in his waist. And there's another person in the car passenger seat that didn't get out. So we're like, okay, they definitely have a gun, And he was drunk, and I don't even like it was such a quick interaction. It was so crazy. And I think at least 2 of us had guns. Like I had my pistol with me, and I think one of the other people had a gun, which like nobody wants to get in a standoff. Like that's the last thing I want to do is brandish it. But I had it like in my crossbody bag and was just like, dude, I'm gonna have to shoot somebody like this. It was nuts. But the dude went up to my guitar player, who's like a 7 foot, he looks like a linebacker, who's got dreadlocks, like covered in neck tattoo, like the scariest one of the bunch. He goes up to him and he's like, I'll fight you first. So we're just like, okay, this guy is insane. And the lady,
like go fight the scariest one first, or right
off the bat, I'm just like, oh shit, this guy's insane. And he was hammered too, like he was stumbling, like you could tell he was just wasted. And the lady from the front desk came out and kind of got in between us, and somehow we didn't get shot, but it was very close. So yeah, we didn't stay at that hotel. We just drove.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Because, yeah. We all get in the van and it's like dead silence, like nobody's saying a fucking word. And we get like maybe a couple miles down the road, and my other guitar player was, I don't know what she started saying, but she basically like everybody blew up all at once, like screaming at each other, like, you fucking idiots, we could have got killed, you know? And Jordan, my guitar player, he slams on the brakes of the van and like gets up and like does this scary dad, like, what the fuck are we doing? And then it was like, and then he sits back down in the seat. It's dead silence. And he just goes, shit. And then we just drive off and nobody says a fucking word for the next day. Dude, everybody was like, our nerves were just, everybody was on edge after that shit.
Yeah, that's a wild night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so the next time you're in Ohio and you see people beating each other, just stay out of it. Don't. And I didn't even, like, it wasn't like I was trying to fight the guy. We were just like, hey, man, stop. And he's like, what? Who said that? What? Who said that?
I'm beating my wife here. Who said that?
Yeah, and that was another thing. When he was like confronting us, he was like, stay out of people's business. I'm like, dude, you had your hands around a lady's neck. And I was like, hey, stop, please. Like, how much more casual could I be? Hey, don't choke that woman right now in front of me. Please stop doing that in front of me.
Yeah, just wait until I leave.
Dude, I got just out of here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that was just the worst because the show itself was like, the sound was shitty, and then we almost got shot. So yeah,
that's a bummer all around, dude. Like, even the show itself didn't save that night. Like, just sound.
It took us a few days to bounce back from that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I bet, man. That's a
shitty night. Process your longest running band?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, which I'm still in. We're just we're working on a new record and maybe going through some other changes as far as like stylistically and other things.
New metal, huh?
Yeah, we're just gonna write a new metal country crossover album, and then we're gonna.
That could work, dude. That might pop off. You never know.
Yeah.
Country and new metal are both converging at a very specific time.
Everybody's getting experimental with it. You know, we got Beyonce's country album, which is I should have had that in my top 5, honestly, but
you should have.
I want to change Mastodon to Beyonce's new album, actually, in the top 5.
Oh yeah,
hell yeah,
yeah. That shit's hard.
Well, man,
yeah.
you got said you got those 2 shows coming up. Are you guys? Is that like a little like mini tour? Or?
If it's this weekend,
oh fuck, it is this weekend.
Yeah. Shit. You got anything coming out after next Sunday? Or doing anything after next Sunday?
I think so, but I don't know if we have. Actually, I don't know if we have anything else booked. I know that the Breathing Process isn't doing anything till next year. I just joined a band last year that is supposed to be putting out an EP this year. So we might play some shows with that once it comes out.
What's her name?
But, it's called Immortal Torment. It's the singer for Sanguisugabog and my friend Braden.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And I think I sent you guys. I might have sent you some.
Yeah. You sent it. Yeah, I remember you sending it to me because we were gonna get because it's the guy from Rejoice that mixed the drums, I think, and we were gonna talk to him about doing our shit.
Yeah, the drummer Braden, he's the drummer for Rejoice, and he's in a bunch of bands. But yeah, he plays guitar in this band, and he mixed that, and he's actually mixing the Crown Vic EP right now. He's almost done with it.
Sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's
definitely gotta hit him up about some mixing. Yeah. Well, man.
How about your solo shit? Your beats, your techno.
Hey man, that's
You gonna be in any fucking clubs coming up soon? Or?
You never know with that. I mean, I stay busy with that shit because it goes back to what we were saying about, when you leave a metal show, you don't want to listen to any abrasive shit. So I'm out here just playing all this metal. So to decompress, I got to just come back and make like gay nightclub techno.
Dude, it's sonically pleasing. I'm not gonna lie. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's
I like the goth ones, like the two goth bangers you
the
put
goth
out.
one. I like the goth one. I like Wigwam, and I like the OG, man. Like I have a penis. You have a penis too.
When I was telling my son about how we were going to possibly use one of those songs, he suggested the Boys Have a Penis song, and I didn't realize that would have been the general consensus. I should have just went with that.
I like that one. It's a good one.
No, I like making shit like that because like with all the music and all the bands I'm in, I have to think really hard and focus, and with that stuff, I can just kind of turn my brain off, and I don't worry about how it's going to sound. Like if you listen to any of those songs that I make, the drums are the least complicated thing going on in any of them. I'll just make one beat and loop it. And I don't give a fuck about drums in any of those songs. It's all about just get some laughs,
Not only that, like you have a good sense of comedy, and you always have since I've ever known you. Like you've always been funny. It goes back to you saying you wanted to perform in some way. I believe like you've always had a sense for comedy and shit, and it definitely plays into that. And it's good, man. I like it. Like honestly, like it.
I have a couple friends that they like all of my stuff, but they're like, I have one buddy in particular. He's like the first guy that I send my goofy songs to because he loves that shit. And he's always like, man, I love all your bands. I respect the skill on the drums, but this shit's way better. So,
thanks, man.
It's good. It's good that I thought about for like 5 seconds before I hit record.
Yeah, brother.
Keep it playful.
I think that's it. Dark Bryan. Check his beats, his techno songs. Check Crown Vic. Check what was the other one?
Process.
The Breathing Process, Immortal Torment, and
Immortal Torment.
Yeah, there's probably going to be another one next week. You never know.
I can link them all in the description below.
Yeah,
Down there.
those are mains. Those are the active ones. You know what I mean?
All right, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun. Hopefully, I answered the questions and didn't talk about myself too much.
No, it's good. It's chill.
You're just going to find out how big your hog is anyway. Like, you never got there, so.
You can tune into the part 2 of Dark Bryan for that.
All right, brother. See you later.
Yep. See you guys.